because we had a friend.
We did. We had one. He's
Whatever,
a kid.
I don't know his name. He's green-haired. Did you just like lasso a midget in there or something? What's going on?
I haven't because that's horrendously graphic.
It's not horrendously graphic. Are you serious? 3, 2, 1. Welcome to episode 5 of Geek-Cetera, the only podcast where 3 grown men talk about geeky things, and they're all somehow married. In this episode, SuperFriendly goes gaga for an old man. DarkEagle loves to play by the rules. Hooray! And I get on my soapbox for a Star Trek tirade. Now, let's get geeky. To start our show, we're going to talk about things that happened in the past week with a segment called Let's Talk About the Past, where we're going to talk about the geeky stuff that we got to do in the week before our episode. So I'll start with you, SuperFriendly. What kind of geeky things have you been up to?
Not too much. I have been watching the newer Voltron that they released. It's pretty good. I like the animation, and it cracks me up. I loved watching the old Voltron, and I like the new one. Also, do you guys remember, like, a week and a half ago, or maybe 2 weeks now, there was an eclipse?
Yep.
So that happened. And then I played last night for the first time Super Mario 64, and gotta say I wasn't impressed with the graphics or the story. I just prefer the PlayStation.
Hold on. I have a huge issue with this. 2 problems. 1, this is the first time you've ever played Mario 64.
Yep.
My second problem is this. You're complaining about graphics from like 12 years ago on the N64. You had to know going into it that the graphics were going to be bad. It's not like you're going to be playing a PS4 version of Mario, right? But why complain about them? You knew going into it was going to be crap.
Yep.
It's just what I did. You asked me what I did.
That is true. I did ask him that.
Then you said I prefer to play on the PlayStation 4. Well, yeah. I just don't understand. You have to know going into it. It's like if I played an NES game and was like, man, these graphics are bad. Well, yeah, it's the NES. That's all. I just don't understand how you didn't get that.
We interrupt this podcast to bring you sarcasm. In the history of anything ever, Luke is the only person not to understand what it is.
Voltron, what season are you on?
Season 1.
Yeah, I started season 1. I probably got midway through, and I just kind of lost interest. But I mean, it was good. I thought the art was really nice. Yeah, I don't know why I never stuck with that one.
Well, the reason I do like it, and I give it praise, is the animation and the pictures and the delivery and the visual storytelling is very good.
Okay, and then the eclipse. So, are you saying you watched the eclipse?
I watched it from YouTube. I mean, it happened. It was not that exciting for me.
Because
that is.
I did not have the glasses, so I could not watch it.
Well, I just feel like it's science fiction, and it happened before our last episode, and none of us thought to bring it up.
It's science fact, just so we're clear, actually. I mean, it literally happened.
That is a good point. But either way, it's sciencey, and we didn't bring it up.
Yeah, I know.
It is sciencey. It did happen.
My wife and I actually, Kels, we got to see it. We were in Conway, actually, North Conway, and somebody lent us their glasses. So it was just like, cool. So it's like you look at it for like 20 seconds, and you're like, oh man, this is cool, and then you go about your business.
Yeah, I didn't have glasses. I did exactly what they told you not to do, which was I put my sunglasses on and took a quick peek, and then
gosh,
and then I realized that wasn't gonna cut it. So. I was real brief. Lord. It was a real quick look. I don't think I lost any vision from it. It didn't take too long to realize that the sunglasses were not going to do anything. But I watched, and obviously we were in the path of it, so it was a partial eclipse for us where we are in the Northeast. But I watched the full eclipse, like everything else. I watched it on TV.
Nice job.
Yeah, like you, Josh, I would go out and look at the sun, and I'm like, nothing's really happening there. Come back and watch it on YouTube. Oh, great, everything's dark, and it's night for a couple of minutes, and I go back and look outside. Nope, nothing's happening. Look at the sun, nothing. So I'm pretty sure that it's all a hoax, just like the moon landing.
It's definitely not a hoax. Let's move on from SuperFriendly.
Hey, I tried to be quick. You guys dragged it out.
I'm not going to be quick. I'm warning you.
I don't know why you're trying to be quick. You don't have to try and be quick. It's about talking about the things you did. You could have spent more time about your nice Super Mario experience.
I think you'll live.
We're fired up already. So let's move on to you, DarkEagle.
So I finished the audiobook Thrawn. I don't read a lot of Star Wars books. Now I'm getting into it as our line of work doing cleaning in the evenings really allows for me to listen to a lot of books. So I've started to listen to more. So I don't have a lot to base this on, but Thrawn is definitely the best Star Wars book I've read or listened to. And I'd only say I've maybe done 3 or 4. And some of them were Legends books. I know, for sure. But I doubt that will ever change, only because Thrawn is definitely in my top 5 Star Wars characters. And I loved him even more after listening to the book and understanding his true motivations as to why he is working with the Empire, what his end game is, all very, very cool. So I'm not somebody who even knew the previous Legends version of Thrawn, so I'm not disappointed by the iteration that they've created into the actual canon. Now, this starts to play on a little bit of my pet peeves that I'm going to get into later, but the only disappointing thing that I feel is that listening to this book, there's a lot of setup, there's a lot to do with the unknown regions, which is where the First Order rebuilt. That's where Snoke keeps his starship. The Supremacy is hidden in the unknown regions. So maybe they'll get into this a little bit. There's not a lot in the book, but there's a lot of hints towards what's in the unknown regions, how dangerous it is, and how, like, the Empire's trying to map it out with Thrawn's help. That's where the Chiss are from. I'll be very disappointed, and I suspect this will be what happens, because I don't think that we're ever going to see anything come of this book. There's a lot that you could do in the grand scheme of the Star Wars movies. See maybe not Thrawn necessarily, but see the Chiss, who definitely exist. See stuff take place in the unknown regions. Learn about this tremendous threat, even to the Empire, in the unknown regions that must be stopped. Will we ever find out what that is? Will there be a sequel to this book? Will it span into the movies? Probably not. And so ultimately, I feel a little bit disappointed to know that this book is technically canon, but I will probably never see one of my favorite Star Wars characters on the big screen, or any real resolution to some of the really interesting mysteries that they brought up in that book.
What about in Star Wars Rebels?
That's a good point. Because the end of the book pretty much leads directly into Season 3 of Rebels. So maybe Season 4 of Rebels will cover it. I suppose that's the best bet. They're showing, to me at least, the rest of Thrawn's storyline through Rebels. I suspect at the end of Rebels Season 4, just a guess, that they'll have put an end to his storyline, whether it's death or whatever happens.
I'm guessing he dies, because he's not in Rogue One and he's not in A New Hope.
Exactly,
so
and that's the thing that's like a disappointment to me, is they portray him to be, during this time of the universe, such a major player in the universe. Grand Admiral Thrawn. But all we ever get to see of him is a portrayal on a well-written, when he's in it, episode of Rebels. He's in there, and it's well-written when he's in there, and it's a pretty good show. But we're never going to see him on the big screen, so he's never going to feel like he ever had real consequence to me. Because the biggest moments in Star Wars, to me, happen in the movies. And if it's not part of the movie, it just doesn't carry as much weight to me, and I kind of feel disappointed by that.
So I got
that's fair enough.
A couple things to add to what you just said. First off, the stuff that came before canon was, are we calling it Legend or Legacy?
Disney calls it Legends. The books are called Legends books, yep.
So in the Legends, Thrawn had this little lizard that used to hang around him. Basically, you couldn't use the Force in like a bubble around this thing. Does that exist?
Not thus far, no.
No, okay. I was curious because basically the way it worked is it would void the Force in like a bubble circle around it. It wasn't visible, but it would just void the Force around him. But if you had more than one, it would like make that circle bigger and bigger and bigger, and they could feed off each other's power. So you could have a huge space that was you could not use the Force in. The other thing I was thinking, Timothy Zahn is the one that wrote the Legends stories. Yeah, and then they brought him back to write this new one.
Yep.
That's kind of cool that they did that, because Timothy Zahn is a very good writer. I'm excited that they have him back writing Star Wars again, because to be honest, out of all the Star Wars writers that they have right now, he's probably one of the better ones. I think.
Well, his book was expertly written.
And then while I was thinking about it, it made me wonder, because Kyle said that Zoe Saldana is on a mission to play every colorful creature that there is. And it made me wonder if she's going to join the Star Wars galaxy as a Chiss, where she'll be blue again. I know she was already blue with the Na'vi, but she didn't have red eyes. So.
True. Well, that would be cool.
I would only accept that if she was purple and the female of the species were purple with yellow eyes.
Well, that's not the way it works. Yeah.
They're blue still.
The Chiss are all blue with red eyes.
Fine. Well, if I was Zoe Saldana, then I would not accept that role because I feel I'd...
Why? She'd have red eyes.
Nope,
She's never had red eyes.
I have already done that, and I need to move on to bigger and better colors.
Anyway,
it's a good thing, that she's not going to take it because I couldn't stand a Star Wars movie with her just screaming all the time.
Anyway, it's confirmed at the end in the epilogue of Thrawn's book that they're the same color, male and female, even in canon. Just so we're clear.
Oh, good. We put a nail in that coffin.
That's all I got to say. I mean, that's the biggest thing I did. So
that is a big thing since you've only read 3 books in your life, which is all I've got.
Whoa! I said I've only read 3 or 4 Star Wars books. They were never my thing. I didn't care about the legends. I've read a lot more books that I've enjoyed.
So now that you're reading again or listening, which is pretty much the same thing.
It is really the same.
When are you going to listen to Ready Player One? Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: the Phasma book that leads into The Last Jedi.
Ooh.
I'm going to listen to that.
When am I going to get that?
When you listen to Thrawn.
I collect those.
So can I get the Phasma book? I listen to Thrawn.
I want the Phasma book. Send it over.
I will send it to both of you as soon as the podcast's over. And then I plan on listening to Ready Player One. I started Star Wars.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, well, it's 14 hours to go because that's how long Phasma is, and I'm going to enjoy every minute of that. I started Star Wars Bloodline, but I wasn't as interested in that.
I feel like I heard about Bloodline. Which one is that? What's the story chronicling?
It's the one that follows Leia going on this New Republic mission to try and sniff out this new Nikto group. At least that's how it starts. It's like this crime lord boss. It's interesting, but it's not gripping like Thrawn. So I got about 2.5 hours in, then I got Phasma, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to jump to Phasma. I'll listen to Bloodline at some point. Bloodline's cool because it talks about her relationship with Han as her husband, how they have a kid, Ben, and he's with Luke Skywalker. So there's some neat ties.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm sorry. It probably is good, but you lost me at Princess Leia.
I know. I'm kind of the same area you are there. Not a huge fan of Leia.
I'm surprised, Kyle, because I just started listening. I'm going to get into it later. Aftermath, Life Debt, and Leia plays a large part in that.
Yeah, and she's fine. I wouldn't want to read a book about her, just like I wouldn't want to read a book about Padme.
Oh, yeah. Goodness, that's for sure.
But Luke, and Josh is reading Aftermath, so this kind of ties in. In this Aftermath series, we find out that the Emperor had a lot of stations on a lot of different planets, which were solely used for mapping unknown space.
Well, yeah, that's...
Spoiler alert.
But that's in Thrawn. Like, they say that he gave the Emperor a lot of the information about there, but specifically restricted him and wouldn't tell him where the Chiss base was. But the Emperor respected that about him and said that that was okay, but he continued to give him information about it. That was one of the reasons why he wanted Thrawn so bad to be part of the military, because he knew he could use him to learn about those regions. So that makes sense. And I do hope, I mean, everything I've read, like I said, the First Order stems from the unknown regions. Snoke, right now in the movie canon, is in the unknown regions. But I want to know what that threat that Thrawn felt was so dangerous was. So dangerous that it could be a threat even to the Empire. That's what's curious to me. The Empire was huge. You know, the Death Star and the Emperor, who is, you know, the Dark Sith. Who possibly could be a threat to such power? That's what I want an answer to.
Yuuzhan Vong.
I thought about that.
Is that how you say it?
Yuuzhan Vong? I think so.
I have no idea how you say it.
How would you say it?
I wouldn't even try. I never even tried.
Yuuzhan Vong?
Yuuzhan Vong, Yuuzhan
that
Vong.
Actually sounds better. I think Kyle's correct.
Maybe. I don't care.
I just called them the Vongs.
I think, Luke, we will get more stories on that because the authors writing the canon material now are doing a good job of linking characters throughout their books. So Admiral Ray Sloan started off, I believe, as a Captain Ray Sloan in Star Wars A New Dawn, which was pre-Episode 4. It dealt with Kanan Jarrus, one of his stories.
Yep.
And they brought her. So I think they're going to be connecting these a lot. And I think that we will see more about Thrawn, at least in written form.
Well, that's probably true. And that I am happy about. But I'm just disappointed overall that, like I said, it's not going to affect probably the movies where we see too much of the movies. I'd like to even, we'll never see Thrawn in the modern movies probably, but I'd like to even see the Chiss be represented because they're clearly a power in the unknown regions.
So here's something that's not going to happen, but what if the Obi-Wan standalone movie had Thrawn as the big bad and Obi-Wan has to kill
Obi-Wan kills him?
Obi-Wan kills him.
Whoa, that'd be cool.
So that way it doesn't get out that Obi-Wan is still around in the universe. It doesn't get back to Vader, doesn't get back to the Emperor. He has to kill Thrawn so they don't know about Obi-Wan. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Possibly.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I mean, I would love to see a character like Thrawn brought to the big screen, but
Oh, I would too.
I don't think they do. I don't think they'll do it.
Oh, I don't think so either, but that's a way they could.
They could do it. Who knows? I mean, it would have been nice to see some of the book chronicled as a movie, because it would have been very cool, or even some of what he's doing in Rebels chronicled as a movie. That's not going to happen either, and I don't think that Obi-Wan will deal with Thrawn. What I would like to see, or have a book even written about, is Thrawn's encounter with Anakin, which is very hush-hush. All we know is he met him during the Clone Wars, and that's all that's said. How in the world would he have met him? So that's another thing that I'd like to have an answer to in book form, or however they choose to do it. I'd like to see something about that.
So is that all you have, Mr.
Yeah,
DarkEagle?
well, it took a lot there, but sorry about that.
No, that's all right. So I'll go on to what I had. I have a lot of stuff to talk about. So I'll break it down. First, I finished the audiobook for Ready Player One, and I read the book about a year ago, so this was my second time through it. I really can't say enough good stuff about Ready Player One. As soon as it ended, I just felt like sadness. Like, oh, now I have to listen to something else, and I really want to listen to Ready Player One. I really think if you consider yourself a geek, a nerd, a dork, whatever you want to call it, you need to read Ready Player One, especially before the movie comes out, because you know the book is going to be better than the movie. Luke, I think you're going to get sucked in so hard to this book. What was that?
I don't know. That was weird.
Anyways, next, I started listening to the audiobook Star Wars Aftermath Life Debt. It's the second book in the Aftermath series, which is written by Chuck Wendig. It picks up not long after the first book in the series and follows the same cast of characters. So if you really liked the first one, which was just Star Wars Aftermath, I think you probably want to pick this up and check it out. It does follow Leia a little bit. She's involved in this story quite a bit. After that, I finished Horizon Zero Dawn for the second time. I'm looking forward to the DLC, which is coming in November. And I actually was looking into live streaming, which I'd never done before on my PlayStation 4. And I decided to try it. So I actually live streamed on YouTube the end of Horizon Zero Dawn. I probably the last 2 to 3 hours of the game. I streamed live. It was kind of fun. It was very easy to do with the PlayStation 4. So you can actually check that out on our YouTube channel, which is just Geek-Cetera. I don't really say a whole lot, but it was fun.
I watched about 30 seconds of that. It was cool.
Did the quality come out good?
Yeah, all I did is I didn't load it on YouTube, but I got this alert Wildjosh has posted this to YouTube, and it gave me a little 10-second clip of it on my PS4. So I just watched the 10-second clip. It looked good though. The quality looked good. You were like, "Is my mic on? Is it on? Is it on?"
I couldn't tell. Yeah. My wife was trying to help. She was logging on to YouTube to see if it was on or off. And then I realized if I looked at it, it would red if it was off, and it was not.
Oh, okay.
I didn't really understand how my headset worked, but
it's all right. It was good though. The quality was good, and I had just beaten it, so I didn't watch the whole thing, but I enjoyed it.
I found it a lot easier going through the second time. That armor that you get at the end, that final battle is tough without that armor. If you're going into that final battle and you have not picked up that armor, I think you're getting your butt kicked a few times before you beat it.
Yeah, I don't think you'll live.
Cannot wait for the DLC. Then I played some Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. We got a few new characters. There was a Hoth.
More characters? No way.
Yeah. We got a Hoth Han Solo, a Hoth Leia, and then a Hermit Yoda. And they added
characters.
Yeah,
nice.
Added a new game mode called Territory Battles, which is interesting. I haven't really figured it out. It's you work with your guild basically to complete these battles.
Basically, the way I understand what you said is they introduced a bunch more things that if you want to get, you have to pay money for.
Well, I've never paid a dime for it. So you guys, I know, got really into it and you wanted to be number one and stuff. There's no question in my mind that I do not want to be that.
To clarify, I was number one. Okay, let's just clarify that. I know that it's not. I know that it's not actually complete money grab, but there are some online games like that you can play, and a company will do some things that are a clear money grab, but they're rare. And other times it's more you just got to put the time in. But some of the stuff in there that they put out, like when they released Thrawn was a huge money grab. To need 7-star Phoenix within maybe a month and a half of Phoenix Squadron being released, that was a money grab. There was almost no way for a free-to-play player to get it. Yeah, I got him at 5-star, but there was no way to get him 7. And anybody who had him 7 was at an enormous advantage. Even when they released Skywalker there, you needed Leia and Stormtrooper Han and Luke and Old Ben all at 7-star. Yeah. Not many people had all of them at 7-star because Old Ben is crap.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was like, those are the kinds of things.
Yeah, unless you were playing from launch when he was not bad.
True. I had old Ben at 7-star.
Did you really? I had never invested in him. I had all the other guys.
But I didn't have like Stormtrooper Han Solo at 7-star, and I didn't have certain guys, so I wasn't able to get Luke.
But that's what I mean. It's they do stuff like that where it's cash grabs and money grabs, and even like territory battles. To really be good at them, you have to get 3 stars in every one of them, and a maximum of 45 stars after the territory battle ends. And if you get the 45 stars as a guild, you get a bunch of great gear, because I guess they released Gear 12. But otherwise, I mean, you're not getting nearly as good of stuff. So to get that high, you've got to spend either money or an inordinate amount of time to build up your tunes so that you're able to do enough.
Yeah. So. And I also saw, I went to click on something and it said not available till you hit 90. So it looks like they're going to be increasing the level cap to 90. What's the point of keep raising the level? Like, I
hate that.
Just leave it where it is. I've almost got them all my 7 stars leveled up to 85, and now you're going to change it to 90, so I'm going to have to sink more credits just to raise it up to 90. Awesome. It's just,
To rest your conscience there, that was an error in the game that the devs said that they are not increasing it to 90 anytime soon.
Good.
If you see anything about it, it's just a mere error in the game. But I agree with you nevertheless. Like, even increasing the gear, for me, one of the fun part of those kinds of games is getting a character to max. And once you have a max, you can move on to somebody else.
Right,
but in this game, you never could. Because once you hit max level or max star or max gear, a few months later, there's a new gear level or there's a new level cap. And so you can never actually max any person out because they just keep extending it to make more money on the characters.
And it is still one of the most popular games that they have. So.
It's top 10 in the App Store, I believe.
Yeah, and it's been top 10 for like 2 years.
Yeah, so, long time.
Yeah. So then next, after I beat Horizon Zero Dawn, I was like, I got to get something new on the PlayStation 4. And I picked up Madden 18. This is my first Madden in a very, very long time. And I've never been very good at Madden, ever. I stink at Madden. I just really am not good at it. So I was really excited about the idea of a solo story mode. It made me want to pick it up. So I went to Target and they were running a special. I don't know if they're still running the special, but I thought this was a pretty good deal. If you bought Madden 18 and a bag of Doritos, which was like $3, you got a code that unlocked Calvin Johnson for your Madden Ultimate Team. And you also got a $10 Target gift card.
I like that.
Yeah, so you're getting $7 free. So I said, I'll do it. My wife thought it was a good idea. She likes Doritos anyways. I don't eat that junk. I got it.
How do you not eat Doritos?
I don't eat Doritos. Sorry. I don't eat much junk food. As soon as I got home, I popped the game in, started up Long Shot. I was all excited. Long Shot is, by the way, what they call the solo story mode. It's called Long Shot. It's like a game show kind of thing where you're trying to see who's going to be the next long shot to make it into the NFL.
Like Hard Knocks?
Yeah, kind of. I'll just say I did not love it. I would say it took me maybe about 5 hours total to play all the way through the Long Shot story mode. I probably won't be very popular because I know Jared loved this game and he thought it was fantastic and wonderful. If I was going to sit there and just watch the story like it was a movie, because that's mostly what it was. Like 90% of it, you are just watching a movie unfold and you answer a few questions along the way. So the story was decent, but it was a little predictable. But then there was some times where they wanted you to actually play, and it was nothing like playing Madden. The mechanics I thought were clunky. The playing was just weird. Like, actually, after I was done it, I turned to my wife and I said, that was actually horrendous. Not just bad, but awful. It was a good story. It was an interesting story, but I did not enjoy the time I spent playing it. I felt like it was really hard, too. Like, one of the things that you had to do was your coach starts rattling off all these random words to you and then tells you to recite them back to him in the order that he said it. It was super fast, and I'm like, I have no idea.
Was it a concussion test?
It was like how you call a play, and it was just bizarre. But the other stuff that they did that was supposed to be like gameplay for it was just strange and weird. I did not like it. It made me upset that I spent the money on it. But, it's still the game. I still have the game to play Madden, which Madden is fun. But like I said, I stink at it. I'm terrible, so I don't know.
I'll take it.
Well, if you remember, Jared did like it. He said it was worth every penny, but he also told us he got it for free. So
yeah.
No, that's not.
It was worth every penny
Jared's
that he got.
Hardcore. He's hardcore into like the Madden Ultimate Team and playing online. So for him, no matter what, even if the long shot story mode was junk, he would love it. I was going to buy it
But he loved the long story mode.
Long stock.
That did not come out right.
He
Nobody
did.
can trust him.
And he was saying that it was a tearjerker. I guess there was they tried to make it a tearjerker, but the thing is, I found it very predictable. It didn't make me get all emotional. The only emotional outbursts that I had throughout the whole thing were when I wanted to throw my controller through the TV because I was irritated with the gameplay.
Jared.
That was about it. So
we love you, Jared, but you're really simple-minded. Because of your simple-mindedness, this story probably was profound for you. But clearly the more sophisticated minds will not enjoy it.
Oh.
So that was Madden. I played it a little bit today, even before we started recording, and I got irritated and shut it off. That's the way it goes with Madden for me. I just stink at it, and I can't get
I'll give you $20.
Come on. Will you buy me a new bag of Doritos?
Yeah, I will. I'll get you a bag of Doritos.
I started watching the show that Luke so vehemently said was amazing and awesome, and I had to watch it. It was one of his favorite anime series called My Hero Academia, and if I could sum it up in one word, it would be strange. Just strange. There's lots of preteen crying. There's a large mix of emotions from the main characters. Strange weirdo that spits up blood all the time. And also, spoiler alert, you can get superpowers, or what they call quirks, from eating the hair, yes, the hair, of another superhero. Yeah, strange.
I have some things to say. First of all,
I would love to hear what you have to say.
First of all, I don't like all of Deku's crying, Midoriya. He cries way too much. He's a super emotional kid, but it's too much. And what he goes through, sure, there'd be some emotional moments, but he's over the top. That's who he is in the show. Not my favorite thing. All Might is not a strange weirdo.
He is. The way he looks when he's not All Might is a strange weirdo.
But I love that part of it. Because his power has become so drained, which you discover later on, he's now like this little, frail little dude when he can't hold his form anymore. And I love when he's starting to talk and all of a sudden he just spits up blood. There's no reason for him to do it. But it's just funny how ridiculous they put it in there for. But I understand you're not interested in that.
I'm expecting him to keel over any moment.
So you have to understand what happened to him and what his power is. It was weird that he does it through his hair, but it has to be DNA, and there's a lot weirder ways that he could have shared his DNA.
When he said, you have to, share my DNA, I'm like, okay, he's drinking a cup of his blood or something gross like that, and then he plucks a hair, and I'm like, I guess.
Strange, no doubt. You won't fully understand how his power works until later in the series, how it's set up that way, and even the origin of his power. Because it's not anybody that can get powers that way. It's the only quirk that can be passed on the way that it is. And there's a reason behind that, and the story behind that is very good. This is a very popular anime, and if you don't like it, that's your opinion. But to me, I think it's a very well done anime, especially as it gets going. The last 4 episodes, they're all rated over 9 on IMDb because the last 4 episodes are exceptional. The second season as well, again, starts off a little slow, and then it starts to pick up again. In the middle of the season, they just had a huge arc that finished up with a character called Hero Killer Stain. They're circling around now to the finale of the second season, and it's setting up to be very interesting. You found out a lot more about All Might, where his abilities came from, who his arch nemesis is, who severely injured him, to the point where he now is like emaciated when he's not in All Might's form. It's very well done, and it seems like a very light show, but it gets, in the second season probably more than the first, it gets a little bit more darker. I'm a huge fan of it. The second season right now is the #1 rated airing anime, and it's actually, I'm really going to enjoy this point, and it's going to really upset you, Josh. In the rankings for anime, they have a site like IMDb for just anime. My Hero Academia Season 2 is ranked number 23 all time in all anime, and it is exactly one spot above Cowboy Bebop.
Well, that's baloney. Where was Sword Art Online?
It's not even close. It's not even. Yeah, I agree with you. The first, but it's not high. I mean, it's maybe. I think it's out of the top 50 even. And I love Sword Art. It's one of my favorites as well. It's in my top 5. But it's.
I'd like to look at that list. Can you send it?
I have an app called AOZORA, and that's where it is.
My anime list.
I can't remember.
Full Metal Alchemist is #1.
It is. So you found the right one.
Steins Gate's #5.
Steins Gate's amazing. Kimi no Na wa is also amazing. Your Name, one of the best animes I've ever watched movie-wise. There's a lot up in the top that's junk. But anyway, that's all I have to say about My Hero Academia.
I'm very early on in it. I think I'm only on like episode 4, something like that. So next, I watched a movie last night with my wife called The Circle. Tom Hanks, Emma Watson, John Boyega, Karen Gillan, Patton Oswalt. And it's actually the last film for 2 actors, Bill Paxton and Glenn Headley. They've died, and they're both in this movie. Based on a book written by David Eggers, the movie, it basically followed the idea that there's this cultish technology company taking over the world, a dark take on like a Google, Apple, Facebook, if they were like all one. I thought the movie failed to make clear sense as to what was going on, and it ended up concluding with a lot of plot holes in the story. Probably in a week's time, I'm going to forget that I ever even watched this movie because it just was not memorable. About 3/4 of the way through the movie, I remember thinking, I hope this ends soon. But I did think that it was nice to see John Boyega in something because I only really knew him from Star Wars. And I wish he had a bigger role in this, but he didn't really have a huge role.
One of his big cult hits now is Attack the Block or Attack on the Block, which was like this movie about these teenagers who stopped an alien invasion.
Detroit, right?
Yeah, but it was rated R, so I never watched it. But like everybody loves it now. Like they talk about it as like this cult classic. I never saw it.
Well, that concludes that segment. So let's move on. But first, a word from our sponsor.
This segment is brought to you by Geek-Cetera.
You probably heard our awesome chiptunes intro and outro. We can't take credit for it. Our friend Mr. Hugs made it for our show. If you'd like to hear more really cool original tunes by him, check him out at mrhugs.bandcamp.com and give him some love.
Now we're on to fan theories that could break the Geekverse. This is where we discuss fan theories that we just can't get enough of. So we're going to start with you, Super Friendly. What do you have for us?
My theory is on shared movie universes. Have you guys heard of MIB-23?
No.
If you were to guess.
Well, I think I remember you mentioning this, so should I take myself out of the running for answering this?
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you really want me to answer MIB-23?
Yeah, what do you think it is?
If I had to guess based on nothing, I would guess it's an alternate universe MIB.
Okay. It's a shared movie universe. Josh, do you know who the other one would be?
I think you said it was Men in Black and 23 Jump Street.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Where do you come up with this crap?
No, this is something Jonah Hill has talked about, is that they want to do a sequel crossover with the 21 Jump Street franchise and MIB, but Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith would not be attached to this project.
You know why? Because they think it's so ridiculously dumb that they wouldn't sully their good names in such trash.
Yep.
I gotta say, though, and I don't usually like to agree with Kyle, but you think about all the different things that they have done. They're running out of ideas. It's obvious. They keep rebooting stuff. This is just like another way of rebooting a franchise. Well, instead of rebooting it, let's combine 2 universes and see what happens. It's like when the fighting games would originally come out, Tekken, and all of a sudden now they have like, now it's going to be DC versus Marvel, and you know, just adding. I don't know. That's what I get from this.
I mean, I like the Men in Black movies. The third one wasn't that good, and I really enjoy the Jump Street movies 1 and 2. They were both really funny, but I don't see them existing in the same universe at all.
Yeah, I'm not wild about this one in particular, but I do think that this is the direction movies will head in. Cinematic universes, they're starting to get diluted. MIB-23 is one that I'm not wild about seeing, but I am very excited. I know they're going to be doing another Mary Poppins, and if Mary Poppins, as the theory goes, is a Time Lord, I wouldn't mind seeing, and it's not, for me, I wouldn't want it to be a total crossover, but if she just happens to show up in a TARDIS or leave in a TARDIS, just that hint to say, hey, yeah, these universes exist together. Mary Poppins is a Time Lord.
Where? Who says Mary Poppins is a Time Lord? Where do you get this?
Her bag is bigger on the inside.
I need more than that. You realize that, right? That's one thing.
I'm curious, what came first?
Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins or Doctor Who?
Doctor Who aired in 1963 was the first episode.
And Mary Poppins was 1964.
Really? Are you serious? I would have thought it was before.
No, August 27th, 1964.
Wow.
Mary Poppins
Kyle, that's
could be a Time Lord.
Into your theory, yeah. That fits. That's amazing. By the way, Emily Blunt is playing Mary Poppins, which I think is great.
I like Emily Blunt.
Someone said her umbrella is an amalgamation of her TARDIS and sonic screwdriver, which, okay.
I could see it being her sonic screwdriver-esque kind of thing, like the Doctor has, but not her TARDIS. That's kind of stupid. I guess, maybe.
I don't agree with that either. She has a bow tie and an umbrella, though, and a hat.
True. I mean, maybe...
I just like it. I think it's neat. I don't want to see Mary Poppins as the Doctor, but a little crossover, a nod like that, I wouldn't mind, and I'd like to see that pop up a lot more.
I'd be okay with that, but I think that it's unlikely that Disney is going to throw a TARDIS into their Mary Poppins movie.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You're going to love this next one.
Oh, excellent. I can't wait.
All right. Do you know what Secret Wars is, Luke?
Marvel, right?
Yeah, Marvel Secret Wars.
Yeah, that's when Spider-Man originally got his black symbiote suit. It was the big war.
Don't tell me Star Wars, Secret Wars.
So, the Beyonder merged dozens of fragments from many planets to make Battleworld. And that's where our heroes and villains got together to fight. Luke,
you're talking the new Secret Wars.
I'm talking about the original one. I think it was 1984.
Okay. Yeah, so that was, okay. I got you. That's what I wanted to make sure. Yeah, I remember it.
Do you remember who was introduced in Secret Wars?
Character-wise, or like...
Yeah, character-wise.
That's really testing my memory. I don't off the top of my head.
It was the second Spider-Woman.
Oh, no kidding. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Part of Denver, Colorado got mixed in with all these planets, and she was over there in Colorado. She wasn't intended to be in Secret Wars, and she just happened to be on this planet and met up with the heroes.
Okay.
But they introduced 2 new villainesses. They introduced this Spider-Woman, and Spider-Man got his black suit there.
Yep,
so I would love if they did a Marvel Secret Wars where a part of a planet where a Jedi lives gets accidentally smacked in there, and that's how Star Wars and the Marvel Universe get joined together as a shared movie universe.
Why can't you just leave my freaking Star Wars alone?
I think that Patton Oswalt's idea was much better than yours.
You're right.
It's more likely that via the Infinity Gauntlet, he would bring in like Boba Fett and the Star Wars dudes. Thank you.
But on that, that topic of shared Marvel universes or shared movie universes, I like that. And then my last one. What's that?
Had you seen the pictures that were posted back when like Man of Steel was coming out, or not Man of Steel, Dawn of Justice, where they had like Superman with a lightsaber and Batman? Like they did crossover pics. Like
blasphemous.
That was a big thing. I agree with that more so than I do Marvel. Like blasphemous that DC would ever think they have the ability to cross over into that universe.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but I mean, Marvel and Star Wars are both owned by Disney. If we're going in the way of shared movie universes, I wouldn't mind seeing that kind of a mashup in a movie. I don't want to see it all the time, but in one movie, that wouldn't be bad. And then my last one that I think would be cool.
I just made me think of that with the crossover. There was a comic book series back, and I guess it would be considered Legends now, and I don't think it was even canon when back then. It was called Star Wars Tales. There was a series that had Han and Chewie going far out into like the outer rim and crashing on this planet and like basically dying. But then like years later, Indiana Jones like is on that planet and he's like digging up and he comes across the Millennium Falcon and Chewie and Han's like skeleton is inside.
See, that would be
awesome. It was just kind of cool. That would be an interesting shared universe. That's a whole other thing. Did you guys hear about how Spielberg came out and said something about how his least favorite Indiana Jones was Temple of Doom?
What? And not Crystal Skull?
Crystal Skull was horrible.
Yeah.
So bad.
What is with these movie directors making awesome movies, then growing old and making terrible movies?
I know. It made me a little nervous. I'm like, oh, great. That's the guy who's directing Ready Player One.
Yeah. That's funny. Sorry, Kyle, go on to your last one.
Oh, and then my last one, and this was just, I was trying to think of a third one. I like to do things in threes. So
you have four already.
You have four.
No. MIB 23 is an actual one that was proposed.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of the same crossover cast from Inception into the Batman, the third Batman? What was that? Oh, Dark Knight Rises?
Who are you talking about from Inception? Gordon-Levitt? He was in the last one.
Yeah, so
as
Tom
Robin.
Hardy, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, the girl who played Dom's wife.
Oh, yeah, she was Talia. Yeah, good call. I forgot.
They're all directed by different people, though.
No,
Inception and Batman aren't.
Yeah,
That's
but
Nolan.
Titanic is James Cameron.
I hadn't gotten to Titanic yet, jerk.
I see it. Oh, sorry. I see it in the show notes.
Spoilers.
But yeah, I think Inception in the Batman trilogy, so Inception, they could just have another level where those characters from Inception are in someone's dream that is Batman, and see that kind of a crossover. And then Titanic, Leo, I don't know. But that's just one I'm tossing out there, as those three could be a crossover as a shared movie universe.
I think you'd have to have stuff that's owned by the same studio. Or director. I don't know, like to get it to work properly. I don't think you're going to get cross stuff like that. Maybe, because I guess you can see that Sony and Disney was able to work together.
You know what I would do? I would do 12 Monkeys and Titanic.
Oh, time travel?
Boom.
That's right, and that would work with Josh's theory.
Yep.
I wish it were my theory. I just stole it from someone else.
True, but that was good, and that would fit with 12 Monkeys.
All right. Is that all you got for your fan theories?
Yeah.
Mr. Super Friendly? I do think you're right. I do think shared universes are going to be something that we're going to see in the future. I just don't know if any of the ones that you mentioned are going to be there.
I don't even want the big ones, though. I don't want to see huge crossover movies. I just want to see little hints and nods in movies to other things.
Yeah.
Like Pixar does?
Yeah. Kind of like what Pixar does.
But what do you got, DarkEagle?
So this isn't much of a fan theory at all. It's more of me complaining, and I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about it. It's more of a fan opinion, I suppose. As I talked a little bit about with Thrawn, I love Star Wars. I just enjoy everything about it, the games and everything. The thing that I have a bit of a problem with is mostly the movies or TV shows that are prequels or lead into the movies before they knew they were going to do it. I feel like what ends up happening when you do stuff like that, when you create something original, and then later on you're like, man, we want to make more money on this, so let's fill in what happened before or in the middle. It creates plot holes that bother me. And while I enjoy it, but the problem I have is the plot holes that they do create. So I've got 3, all of them stem from the prequels, which will just add fuel to the fire of the prequels should have never been done. Although I did enjoy some of them. I love characters like Darth Maul, Qui-Gon Jinn. Characters like that I think are iconic, and I very much am glad the prequels were made.
Can I interject?
Yeah, please do.
So I just think, from a storytelling point of view, that when you create a universe like Star Wars, when he created Star Wars and he had the first one, right, it was originally just Star Wars. It wasn't A New Hope. It wasn't Episode 4. It was just Star Wars. And then it became so popular and everyone loved it that they wanted more. And then they made it into a trilogy. So then you start creating this universe like George Lucas did. So he does the first 3. There's not really that many plot holes. But then there's so many questions. And now it's become this huge universe. And people are asking, well, what about Darth Vader before? And they want backstory and they want all this. And it becomes this big thing. And once you keep adding to it and adding to it and adding to it, it's really hard to make sure that your continuity is there and that you're not missing things because it becomes a huge universe. And it's not just Star Wars. If you think of every huge universe, this is a problem.
Alien.
Star Trek, right? Star Trek, they came out with the original series. Then they come out with Next Generation. Then they come out with Voyager and or Deep Space Nine and Voyager. Those were all around the same time. Then they do these movies that are in a different timeline. And then they come out with Enterprise. That's now a prequel because it's before the original series. Now the new one, Discovery, it's even before that. It's just always the case. Even Marvel. You look at Marvel and the comic books.
Fan fiction.
They've got so many holes in stories because they just kept making new universes. Oh, this is a different timeline. This is a prequel. This happened before this. This happened after this. It's just a constant issue. And it's all because fans want to know every little detail. They're not happy just getting the bare minimum.
The comics that have been going for 40, 50 years, that's just a given. Marvel is just going to do that. And I'm fine with that because you've got 40 or 50 years of content. There's no way you can keep the continuity. The Star Wars universe in the movies is mostly what I'm complaining about. When they made the prequels, all they had to do was watch 6 hours or read the script to see, well, if we put this into it, this isn't going to make sense or this is going to happen. I feel as much
at that
smaller.
point, they had their own canon. They had so many books and stuff that was supposedly canon that was already done because they gave the right to write all these different books. So they were, to some extent, confined to the story they were going to tell because they couldn't go out of canon.
That's true. I don't know how much there was about the prequels.
A ton.
I never read any of the book, but I mean specifically about the prequels and the origins of Vader and all that stuff there. When you do the movies, they're going to supersede the books regardless. Yeah. I mean, that's basically what Disney did. They're like, hey, we're doing a whole new series. Don't want to deal with any of this stuff. Boom,
Right.
it's deleted. It's just gone. I still think that these were minor issues that could have been fixed. And Marvel, I'm sure there are plot holes. I don't find any major plot holes in. I don't disagree with what you said, Josh. It's just some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about, they deliberately went back and changed to make it look more reasonable and made it even more ridiculous.
I said that George Lucas is a crazy completist. He's like Luke when he plays his video games. He can't sleep at night till he's done every little thing to try to make it better. But in the end, he ends up breaking it. It's like all the things he went back and changed with the what do you call it? The special editions. He thought like,
first.
Yeah, he felt like he had to make all these changes because, oh man, it was just screwing with his brain or something. But really, all the changes were not necessary. It didn't change anything, really.
I don't dislike Star Wars because of this, but these are things when I watch the movies, they irk me. I see them and I think, why couldn't just a little forethought be put in to adjust this? Because it doesn't make any sense. And some of them are major. Like, when they made the movie, they had to know going into it, well, this is going to make zero sense. I'm going to start anyway. So here's the first one. In Empire Strikes Back, Obi-Wan tells Luke that his master was Yoda. That's why he sends him there. He says, I'm going to send you to my old master, and it's Yoda. Now, I get that by extension, he could say Yoda was his master. But the implication in the movie really isn't that. The prequels clearly established Qui-Gon as his master. And we don't see what happens after Qui-Gon dies, just in the next movie. He's pretty much like a Jedi Master. So we just see Padawan to there, or Jedi Knight to there. So maybe in between, Yoda finishes his training, but it's clearly left up to speculation. But Obi-Wan loved Qui-Gon. He watched his beloved master die before him and clearly tapped into the dark side to kill Maul. He would not have forgotten something like that. He would have said, I'm sending you to the old Jedi master rather than just master. So
I think
go for it. I'd love him to be answered.
First, obviously, Obi-Wan is an older man when this is taking place.
Yep.
And he's gone a little senile. He doesn't remember.
That is not an explanation.
He doesn't remember whether he took his pills that morning. He's not sure,
Your second one better be more legit.
And the second one is obviously Obi-Wan did not like the decision that Qui-Gon had made in training Anakin. So he was, he kind of was a little miffed at him. I think he could have probably got there in time to stop Darth Maul from cutting him in half. And he said,
wow.
He's going to get what he deserves.
So sad.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh. That is rough. That is rough stuff.
Here's the only thing I would add to that, Luke, is it feels like with Anakin in the movies, the Council as a whole are training him. Like, yeah, he had a trainer, a master in Obi-Wan.
Sure.
But he was a Jedi Knight after that. He wasn't an apprentice any longer, but still he was receiving training from the different Jedi Masters.
Sure.
I don't think you're ever going to be done with your training. And I think Obi-Wan was the same way. Qui-Gon was his Jedi Master, but I'm sure there were points in his training where all of the Jedi Council and other Jedi helped him along the way, and he referred to them as Master.
And I'm fine with that, but the fact that he doesn't even mention Qui-Gon is disturbing.
He doesn't mention him because Qui-Gon didn't even exist at that point.
That's my whole point. You just made my point. Anyway, I'm going to move on to my next one. So in Return of the Jedi, Anakin suddenly, after the prequels, becomes young Anakin as a Force ghost instead of the decrepit, old, nasty-looking Anakin.
Ooh, but that makes a lot of sense, though, because if he had to have Anakin as a young man, like how he died when he was Anakin, right? Because he wasn't Anakin as soon as he became Vader. Anakin died.
Yeah.
So that's why they had to bring Anakin back, and that's why you needed a young David Hasselhoff.
No, that's stupid. Anyway, so if that's the case, if you're going to do that, after those, why is Kenobi old Ben Kenobi? If Anakin got to choose to be young, better-looking Anakin, why couldn't old fart Kenobi choose? All right, go for it.
Anakin, he went back to the last time he was good. The last time he was good, he was young Anakin. The last time Obi-Wan was good, he was old Obi-Wan.
Yeah, you totally took what Kyle said, but I knew that's where you were going with it.
Is that what Kyle said?
Yes.
I only partially listen when Kyle's talking.
That's fair. I still don't buy that. I think that's stupid. Because you already showed him once as old decrepit, and he turned good at the end. That was whole point.
Yes. That was him turning good because he threw some guy over a cliff? That was
really
good.
He brought balance to the Force.
I think that he loved his child more, but I don't know that was him turning good. I mean,
That was
he did so many bad things.
And so many good things as a Jedi Knight.
So that's why I brought him back to when he was doing really good things. When he was young.
He turned good at the end. He turned good.
Fair enough.
He was the chosen one. He brought balance to the Force, and he got to choose young-looking Anakin, and Obi should have chosen young-looking Obi, because old-looking Obi is an idiot.
No, I like that, Luke. I don't agree with changing it back to a young Anakin.
No, I don't actually agree with that either. I think that was just George Lucas tinkering with stuff. He should have just left it alone.
I agree. That's one of the things that bugs me when I see it. I'm like, why isn't he just the old guy? Just leave it as the old guy. So here's my last one. This is one of the more irritating ones. At the beginning of A New Hope, Owen Lars buys C-3PO and R2-D2. Mm-hmm. Yet, he doesn't even realize that he's met and previously owned these droids, because he takes them in at the end of Episode 3. Even after C-3PO introduces himself as C-3PO, he doesn't even acknowledge that he's seen or owned these droids already.
What? Yet, he doesn't take them in?
At the end of Episode 3, they go to his mom. His mom marries whatever Lars, and Owen Lars ends up being the kid of the guy she marries, and that is who takes care of Skywalker.
Episode 2.
Episode 2, I'm sorry.
I was going to say,
I don't know why I said 3. Sorry, I said 3.
Yeah, but those were just brief encounters. You know how many robots...
He owned the droids at that point. They were their droids. They went back to Shmi.
Well,
no.
Shmi, and not R2-D2.
Yeah, C-3PO, but C-3PO didn't have his parts, didn't he?
Wasn't he fully built? I don't remember. He still had the droids, and C-3PO speaks in a very distinct way and says, I'm C-3PO.
I don't know.
When he said that, he should have known that.
So young Owen Lars is what? Like 20, 18, 20, something like that? When he sees these droids, and then he sees a million other droids in his life on Tatooine doing work around the moisture farm and in Mos Eisley and Tosche
You don't even know
Station.
how long he would have owned them, though. It's not like he got them and just got rid of them. I know why, because nobody cares about continuity.
No. You know why. It's because Owen Lars doesn't want Luke to know anything about his past.
That is true, too. So
That's
he admits that they... Oh, I know these droids. I used to own them. They used to live with me. They were your father's. How do you think that would go?
Probably not well. It's interesting that R2 never relates any of the information that he's known forever to anybody in the series.
R2 is the best.
He just
Except for when
doesn't
he's flying
say anything.
and shooting fire and oil.
No,
then he's not the best.
No, I mean, that was pretty awesome, actually.
No, he was, but... Okay, but that's not continuous, because that's a new word. That's not being in continuity, because he doesn't do that in the next...
He doesn't do that any other time.
He's old at that point.
It's funny, though.
He's young.
What do you mean he's old?
He's an old droid. He's old at that point.
No.
Just like old Ben isn't doing flips and karate chops all over the place like he was when he fought Maul. He's just standing there, not even moving, swinging a saber just at his chest, just going back and forth with it because he's old and decrepit.
I'm going to let that go because I say a lot of stupid things, but that's stupid. I guess I'm not letting that go. I don't like
You didn't let it go.
I think actually that point about R2 is probably a better point than this last one here about Owen Lars. Because R2 could have used his jetpack booster.
Like to get away from the Jawas?
There you go.
Ton of times that he could have used that, but he didn't.
That's probably true. It's also weird that he never told Luke any of it, like he was Luke's droid, and Luke wanted to know about his father, and he just kept shut up about it.
He doesn't really divulge too much information, except for
that is kind of true.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, your only hope.
That's true. That's all he got going.
Yeah. He's seen everything. He's seen it all, but he keeps his mouth pretty shut.
Or he has seen everything.
He keeps his speak pretty shut, whatever.
Yeah, he wasn't there for Rogue One, though. He wasn't part of those events.
Yeah, he was.
No, he wasn't.
They were both in the movie.
Yeah, they were.
Where?
Are you serious? They were in the movie. There's a part where they're like all the ships are flying off and they're in the hangar, and C-3PO even says something.
Yeah, he says, "Nobody tells me anything" or something like that.
Nobody tells me. I don't remember that at all. I have a lot of problem then with the continuity of those droids because they seem to be all over the place. 10 years before, they're just in the junk Jawa pile, and they buy them from the Jawas. They're on the Rebel starship. Why would the Rebels just let R2-D2 be in the Jawa camp?
So
wait a second.
I think
are you kidding me?
they're the only two characters that have been in all the movies. So I wonder if they're going to be in Han Solo movie somehow.
I'm sure they're in the Han Solo movie. But Lucas, are you kidding me right now? The Tantive 4 was under attack. Vader was coming. Leia hid the plans in R2, and they got in an escape pod to go to Tatooine. That's how they got to the Jawas. The Rebels did that out of desperation.
That's a valid point.
Look, you're losing all your credibility.
I'm okay with losing my credibility. I haven't seen these movies in a long time. I just know the things that bugged me.
All right, I'm done with you now because that's it. I think George Lucas is a mastermind and he knows what he's doing.
I don't think you think that.
No, I don't, but that's okay. I still love him because he gave us Star Wars. And I'm going to go now into my fan theory. And it's not really a fan theory, but anyways. And it's going to be about Star Wars, so we're not really moving on too far. So this isn't really as much of a fan theory as it is a what could have been. I was turned on to this idea by the YouTube channel, The First Order. They talked about this what could have been, and it just blows my mind, blows me away. And it answers a lot of questions for me about Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. So Ian McCaig, I want to make sure I get his name right, was a concept artist for Lucasfilm, and he was recently interviewed and revealed some concept art that they had for Revenge of the Sith. Now, according to McCaig, the original concept art for Revenge of the Sith had Padme more in the know of what was going on with Anakin, and that she kind of knew that he was going down a path that was bad. And there's a couple scenes where they have interaction between the two of them, and there is some unspoken thing that seems to be bothering them both, but they're not really saying it. One of the reasons McCaig says that this could have been the case was that there was deleted scenes where Padme was inviting Mon Mothma, Senator Bail Organa, and some other future rebels to meet with her in her apartment where they talked about a future rebellion behind Anakin's back. So Anakin had no idea that any of this was taking place. And it's even before that he even made his turn to the dark side. Padme was catching on that something was going on here behind the scenes that wasn't good. Felt like Anakin was a part of it. Felt like she couldn't trust him anyways. Now, McCaig also says that there was concept art on Mustafar, or for Mustafar, between the meeting of Padme and Anakin. After Anakin becomes Darth Vader, he goes to Mustafar. Padme finds out from Obi-Wan that Anakin was at the temple and he was killing younglings, and Padme immediately runs off to Mustafar, and Obi-Wan stows away on the ship. In the concept art, they had Padme with a knife on Mustafar, and she went and embraced Anakin, and while they were hugging, she turns the knife on him and says she was going to kill him. And Anakin actually gives himself to her to say, just kill me, finish me. After what I've done, just kill me. And she's not able to do it. She couldn't do it. But that's when Obi-Wan appears from the ship and Anakin sees him come out. Now he thinks the plan was that they sent Padme to kill Anakin. He freaks out and force chokes Padme to death right then and there. That would kind of explain quite a bit of some of the things that happened at the end of the movie. We'd understand why their relationship was so strained throughout that movie, why it was so odd. We'd understand what killed Padme, because it was clear in the concept art that it was Anakin, that he force choked her to death because he thought she was sent there to kill him. I think it would have been a lot better if it had gone that way, to be honest. It makes more sense to me.
Yeah, I saw those deleted scenes. I liked them. I thought they were pretty good. Having Padme face off, or feel like she was going to face off, would have been good.
I feel like it makes Padme less of a just letting this all happen. She's portrayed in the movies as she's just letting this all happen. Like there's nothing she can do. She's just letting everything happen. And that doesn't seem like Padme to me. This strong queen that we get from episode 1, and this independent woman. And then in episode 3, she's just letting Anakin do whatever he wants.
You're right.
She was an idiot.
Oh, that was it?
Well, it could go on. I mean, I thought she was an idiot in episode 3, that she was just letting everything happen with Anakin and not really intervening at all in his clear path down to the dark side, but this would make more sense.
Yeah, you see her put her life on the line in episode 1 multiple times. Yeah. She's pretty much a warrior, insurgent, not going to take anything sitting down. Same thing in episode 2. What happens when they get to the planet Geonosis? She's she's not asleep. She's wearing the handcuffs. She's chained to that post. And the Jedi are like, oh, we should go help Padme. Oh, no, she's all set. And she's out of her cuffs. She's off fighting. Like, she's kicking butt. In episode 3, she lays down and doesn't take one for the team, Kind of piggybacking off of this for the movie, though, Josh. My mother-in-law had a theory. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't so much as a theory of how it could have ended, much like this. But she was saying that in episode 3, it would have been better if she had had the children and sent them off to Tatooine and Alderaan, and she was the distraction, going to Mustafar, facing off against Anakin, saying, I had my baby, doesn't even let off that they're twins, and you're never going to find them.
Ooh.
And then facing off against Anakin. Now, here's where I didn't agree with it, because I said, so you think she could have fought Anakin how he was and destroyed him enough to be in that Vader suit? She said yes, I just didn't agree with that part. And when we discussed in episode 1 what killed Padme, she said that she was a mother. She wasn't going to die of a broken heart because she had something to live for. She had those children. I like that. I didn't agree with she could wreck Darth Vader at any point, but other than that, I thought it was pretty solid.
I think that would have been a really good idea. If they had her have the kids first, then she goes to Mustafar, and Obi-Wan stows away on the ship.
Oh.
She goes there, comes out and tells them all that stuff. Then Obi-Wan comes out. He freaks out, force chokes her to death. There goes Padme. And then Obi-Wan and Anakin fight. And then Obi-Wan never gets the higher ground. They just fight in a duel, and somehow Vader just meets his end the normal way that a person would.
Yeah.
Like in a duel, not in a higher ground situation.
I had no problem with the higher ground situation.
It's weird.
It's accurate. How is he going to jump over him?
He didn't have to. That's the thing.
He would have been close to the lava otherwise. Might have set fire either way.
He could have waited and got off at a different point. He could have jumped to another floating island thing. And
this is a fan problem that I don't have a problem with, because I think that that's how Anakin was. He was cocky. He was arrogant. Those are the qualities that led him down that dark side. And so he thought, despite Obi-Wan's logic and reasoning and wisdom, he was going to prove to him that he was much more powerful than he was by leaping over him and then attacking him. And I think that plays into how his character was portrayed at the end.
Yeah, the high ground, I didn't have a problem with that either.
It's just weird. I thought that only Sith speak in absolutes, but then Obi-Wan's all like, I got the high ground, you can't win. That's kind of absolute.
It's true. And his point was super accurate. He was very wise.
Anyways.
Good segment.
That's it.
Great
That's
times.
it for fan theories. So we hope you liked our theories. Now on to the next. But first, a word from our sponsor.
This segment is brought to you by Preventure Service Company. Got a major renovation you need done? Armin's been doing it all since 1981. For fast and friendly service, contact Preventure at gsinet.net.
Now in our next segment, which we call News and Rumors That Will Make You Squirm, where we bring out some of the geeky news and rumors that we dug up in the past week. So we'll start with you, SuperFriendly. What'd you find?
I just read an article showing that the release date for the 4th and final season of Star Wars Rebels is October 16th, 2017.
Huzzah!
There was also a link to a new trailer which I haven't seen, but it shows connections to Rogue One, the Empire's occupation of Mandalore, and introductions of X-Wings to the Alliance.
Oh.
Very excited. I love
That's
Rebels.
cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Also for news, Luke was talking about this game last week, and Infamous Second Son is going to be free for PlayStation Plus users in September.
Get it. It's a great game.
Yeah, it is a good game. I already beat it.
Yeah, no, right? It's good.
So, I was thinking about how I didn't really care as much for the music for Rogue One as I do for John Williams composing music. And I know he's on for episode 8, but how much longer is he going to compose music for? So I kind of looked him up, found some articles, looked on IMDb. He conducted and orchestrated the music for The Last Jedi.
Yep.
And he's credited with composing the theme music for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which comes out June 22nd, 2018. Now, I don't know if that means it was his original composition from the original Jurassic Park, or if it's a new theme music, but he is credited for that.
Did he do the one for Jurassic, the last one?
I don't know, I didn't look.
I think he
I
did.
don't think he did. He? I thought it was just like his old, like original music, and that he didn't compose anything new.
I thought he did, but I don't know. Maybe
I'm
I'm
probably
wrong.
wrong. No, I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's a workhorse, that guy.
He is, but he's 85 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He
it's
is
like, how
old.
much...
Yeah, he can't
He
live.
is.
He's not going to live forever. Yeah.
No,
how much are we going to get from him?
The composer for Jurassic World is somebody different. It's
Oh, it is.
Michael Giacchino. So I think it was just his like original Jurassic Park movie that was part of Jurassic World, so he got a credit, but he wasn't the composer for the rest of the music.
Okay. I don't know about that, but I do know I read an article, it was an older article, like a year ago, that said he had already signed on and committed to be the composer for Star Wars Episode 9, That hasn't even gone into production.
Yeah.
And the 5th Indiana Jones project, which was slated to go in 2018, but now it's 2020. So is it too far out for him to even commit to something like that?
Yeah, he'll be dead.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's kind of sad. So is he? Maybe he's composing right now, so that way all that stuff will be ready, at least for Star Wars Episode 9. Get the 3 trilogies in.
Just for clarification, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom also has Michael Giacchino as the composer.
Okay. All I saw was theme music. It wasn't composing for the whole movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably just credit to him of
because he did
music.
The original. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Too bad. I love his music is great. I love his music.
Yeah.
And there was a difference from the credits from what I saw in Last Jedi and Fallen Kingdom. They were different. One was conductor and orchestrator. The other one was just composition, theme music.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So, just another thing I saw on IMDb when I was poking around, Star Wars Episode 9, release date for 2019. On IMDb, it shows Luke Skywalker, Supreme Leader Snoke, and Maz Kanata as rumored to be in there. And I saw other characters that didn't have that rumored tag. So it led me to wonder if Luke or Snoke will not make it through The Last Jedi. And if there's going to be another big bad, or if Luke's going to take on like that Obi-Wan Kenobi Force Ghost role after this movie.
I could see that. And honestly, it'd be fine if Snoke is dead as long as we know who he is. And then what I want is the last one to focus on the unknown region's major threat that Thrawn talked about.
I would love that too. That'd be awesome. And then my last point, I've been thinking about this since we talked about it last week. If the Disney movie machine keeps continuity with the Star Wars universe and the live-action Obi-Wan movie, if it's set in the era between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, it must have Ewan McGregor. It just scares me to think about this movie being set in that era, because Obi-Wan, he can't do anything of consequence without giving away his position to the Empire. Anything he does that really has a ripple effect will bring them back to him. So they can't do a movie about this era and really have it fit. It won't make sense. I don't want to see it.
Ha! That plays into what I said. Thank you.
Is that all you got?
That is all I got.
What about you, DarkEagle?
So guess what? I'm not going to change the subject. I'm going to keep talking about Star Wars. But I am going to change the format because it's a board game. Star Wars Destiny was a card game that we played for a while. We were into it. I'm not as into it anymore. I don't play it as much. I do think it's cool. They're releasing a new set. In just a few months it comes out. Pre-ordering just opened. It's called Empire at War. I might be late to this. It might have been announced at the big convention, Gen Con, a few weeks back. But either way, there were some cool things in here. I find myself disinterested in playing the game a lot, but every time a new expansion comes out, I get sucked in just because I love the characters. And I enjoy the game, I just don't have a chance to play it too much. So this one actually has some pretty cool characters. I'm not going to give stats on cards or anything, I'm just going to give you a taste of some of the characters that we'll see. And if you want more information, if you go to fantasyflightgames.com, they have 3 articles up that detail some of the cards if you're interested in that. So one of the cool characters is Ahsoka Tano. But not our young Padawan Ahsoka Tano. It's Fulcrum Ahsoka Tano. So she's got her 2 white lightsabers. Her lightsabers are even in the game. In general, this one actually has almost all the Rebels characters. It has Ezra, it has Kanan, it has Zeb, Hera, Sabine. I didn't see Chopper, but I'm assuming with all of them in there, he's in there. They've got a few of them have some pretty cool powers to add to the game. This next one, I almost just want to buy this card because I said I haven't read or listened to many Star Wars books. This is one of my other favorites, Dark Disciple, which had Ventress and Quinlan Voss. Love that book so much.
You love that love story, huh?
There is a little love story. What I prefer about it is, of course, I don't like as much dark things now, but I love how dark it took Quinlan Voss from being a Jedi Master to turn him to being Count Dooku's basically sidekick by the end of the book, willing to kill his best friend without even a second's hesitation. For whatever reason, I'm a sick, twisted person. I like that dark turn. I'm glad he kind of redeems himself at the end, but I loved how that went. I just thought that was really very, very cool. That character, Quinlan Voss as a Dark Disciple, in this new set. There's not any board games that I know of yet that include this kind of canon, like the Clone Wars TV show and stuff like that. So one of the reasons I'm always brought back to Destiny is because it's Fantasy Flight's only product that spans the entire Star Wars canon that I can tell. Another one, Grand Admiral Thrawn is in the game. He's a beloved character for me now, especially after the book and Rebels. I would just love to have him as a character to make a deck around, just because I think he's such a cool and well-written character. They've got a fan favorite, Mace Windu. Everybody loves Mace Windu. And then one kind of cool card, this isn't a character, but I thought was a really neat one, is it's called Master of the Council. And it is a huge buff. It's basically an upgrade that you can put on any blue character, where it super boosts any Jedi you put it on. Increasing attack, increasing focus, increasing discard, shields. It's got a little of everything, and they're big numbers. I mean, it's like 2s, 3s. I think there's even a +4 on it. It's just, it's a huge card. Be cool to pair that with somebody like a Mace Windu or one of your other really good blue characters. It's a light side card, so a light side blue character. So like I said, I don't play it that much. Will I pick up a few packs and fool around? Kels and I occasionally will play a game against each other. Probably, just because I enjoy getting some of the cards, and I love that it spans so much of the Star Wars canon. On a different note, this is a different note, Inhumans. I read reviews for Marvel's Inhumans, and it's horrible. All the reviews I read say it's atrocious, it's a poor adaptation, the acting is bad, the costumes are bad, the story is bad. Huge disappointment for myself, as I'm a huge Inhumans fan. I predicted this. I said, man, that trailer looks like trash, and it has turned into trash. Seems like it's one of Marvel's first true disasters, like where there isn't anything redeeming about it. They've had some ups and downs with Thor 2 and even the first Captain America, but this looks like a real dive. My last thing is very upsetting to me, and I think it's stupid. DC is doing a Joker solo movie. It's not going to have Jared Leto. They're going to create a line of movies that are separate from the DC universe and are standalone films that don't tie to their universe. Todd Phillips is set to direct, with Scorsese, I think, as the producer. And the rumor is Scorsese is trying to get DiCaprio, one of his good buddies, to play the lead role of the Joker.
Well, this is not surprising news to me, because DC continues to make really bad decisions with their movies.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
And since I don't love DC as it is, it doesn't bother me whatsoever. They can do whatever they want. I'm not going to watch it. Probably no one else is going to watch it either.
Yeah.
So,
I think this is a discussion for another day, but I think it's about what you want from movies. Do you want to follow the trope of having that cinematic universe all the time with everything, or do you want to see standalone movies that are really good? I'm not saying this one will be really good. I'm just saying I like DC's idea of not everything has to be in a universe.
I don't know. I like the universe.
Yeah.
If everything has to fit into a movie universe, when you pull something from the comics and try to shove it in there, you're not going to get to do it great because it has to fit in with everything else. If they were going to do, just like Batman versus Superman, right? If they had just done a Dark Knight's Returns based on Frank Miller's books, instead of trying to fit it into the DC universe, I would have preferred that, because I think that stands alone as a great story.
Yeah, I want the continuity.
Yeah.
All right.
That's my favorite thing. It is an opinion, so I'm merely voicing my opinion. I love continuity. For me, that's one of the reasons I love the Marvel Universe. The 10-year build-up to Thanos, I love that. That's what I enjoy about it. That's not for everybody. And you're right, they could probably produce better stories, standalone movies. But even so, it's going to be to the discretion of how good the writer is, how good the director is, and you could still get a standalone Thor, Iron Man, Batman movie that is trash, just as I can get a movie in continuity, which I really enjoy, that's also trash because I had to form fit it into the continuity.
Luke, you're going to get the Dark Phoenix saga twice now in X-Men movies. Are they going to be good?
Well, the first one was atrocious. Will they get this one right? Hard to say. First two X-Men movies that were set up in the new generation were exceptional. Days of Future Past was an excellent adaptation, in my opinion. I don't know, because their last one was absolutely horrible. They butchered Apocalypse. I'm hoping. They're doing Starjammers. That's true to form to the comics if they go that cosmic level.
I like Days of Future Past too. All I'm saying is they did it before, it wasn't great, and you already have apprehension about it.
They do.
So why couldn't they do a separate Dark Phoenix couple movies that stood alone?
It's not a bad idea, I don't know that I'd enjoy it as much as now restarting. I already am devoted to these characters I've met. I want to see them continue to grow and play the role. If I was just to watch a whole new movie, you're right, I probably would enjoy it just as much if it was well written. But part of what I like is seeing the same characters and them kind of being built upon in leading, just like the comics. What I liked about the comics, the lead up to Dark Phoenix was so good in the comics. That's part of what I enjoyed, is watching how we got into that scenario and things that took place all during that long thing. But like I said, that's my opinion. It might be better as a standalone movie, but I enjoy the continuity aspect.
I do too. I guess you just have to have a healthy mix, and I don't care about a Joker's solo movie at all. Me neither. So I'm just looking at it from a general perspective.
Yeah, me neither. Anyway, I'm done talking, and now is my favorite part of the show when we get to hear Josh.
Why is this your favorite part of the show? Because you know what I'm going to say?
Yeah, because I know what you're going to say, and I know you're really heated about it, and I love heated Josh.
Yeah, I am heated about this. So I'll start off by saying this is why I've decided to give up on Star Trek forever. Because Star Trek Discovery released a new trailer where we can see that in the corner of this trailer that the show is going to be rated TV MA. That might not mean a lot to anyone else who's listening, but to me, I don't like watching stuff like that. I don't watch rated R movies. I don't watch stuff that is rated TVMA. I try to watch cleaner entertainment. I feel like entertainment that is just full of violence and stuff, that it's not a healthy obsession watching that stuff. It doesn't cloud your mind with good things. So to watch stuff like that, it just irritates me. It's not for me personally. I'm not saying that. I'm not judging others that choose to watch that kind of thing. But for me, this is going to be the beginning of my boycott of Star Trek. I'm sick and tired of these studios feeling that they have to push the envelope with gratuitous violence, unintelligent foul language, disgusting gore, and graphic sex. It's not entertainment to me. I don't enjoy watching it. I don't enjoy seeing it, hearing it. I don't hang around people that talk or act like that, and I'm not going to invite it into my living room. And this is what really gets me, is when I started watching Star Trek, it was something I enjoyed watching with my wife, and it was light, and we enjoyed the stories, and there was always good guys and bad guys, and it was always very intelligently written and smart and entertaining. And it was a family show. I can think about so many different ones that I've talked to about Star Trek, ones who really consider themselves Trekkies, talking about how it was time that they'd spend together as a family watching a new episode of Star Trek when it would come out, and how it drew them closer together, and how they enjoyed those moments together, and how it was something that they'd always remember. And the fact that they're taking that away from people by putting a TVMA on it, dumbing it down for those who just love to see gore and violence and foul language, it irks me to no end. I can't even tell you how upset it makes me. It's taking away Star Trek from a generation of young people that are only now going to know it because they were allowed to watch the movies that are rated PG-13 or whatever. They're not going to know it from this TV series, Star Trek Discovery, because they're not going to be allowed to watch it. Neither should they be allowed to watch it. If it's getting a TVMA, it means they're adding stuff to it that really I don't think young people should be watching. I wouldn't watch it myself, and I'm not a young person. I'm 34 years old. It just really gets me upset. I feel like writers need to be more intelligent and learn how to write good stories that can stand up on their own without having to dumb it down for those who want to appeal to their base senses. And that's what I get from this idea that they're just going to be adding this stuff to it that doesn't need to be there. And I know I'm probably in the minority, and that there's a lot of people out there that probably could care less what it's rated. They're going to watch it either way, and they don't care what kind of stuff they fill their mind with or what kind of entertainment they bring into their house. But that's not me. And I feel like it's not a lot of people out there who are into Star Trek. I feel like they watch it because their families love it, and they watch it together as with friends. And I just see that the entertainment industry is trying to cram as much junk and garbage and trash down our throats as they can. We're just supposed to take it and be like, oh, well, I really love Star Trek, so if you want to add sex into it, I guess I'll watch it. If you want to show blood spray and gore and foul language, I guess I can deal with it. I don't think that's what Gene Roddenberry had in mind when he made the Star Trek universe. And I think if he were alive today, he would have something to say about it. Yes, Star Trek maybe did push the envelope to certain extents in the past, but they never went over the line. And I don't think that making a Star Trek that goes over the line is going to be good. And I really don't think that they're going to get enough people to watch this with a TVMA that it's going to make it worth their while. Now, I know I'm saying that while some of the top shows on TV right now are TVMA, but they also have a limited audience, because I know a lot of people that won't let their families or their children, or they won't themselves even watch just stuff that has that kind of entertainment value where it's morally repulsive is the best term I can come up to mind. I know this is a bit of a tirade, and I'm on my soapbox. This is really what I feel. I'm done with Star Trek. If Star Trek really wants, or CBS, I guess, is the one who owns the rights to Star Trek, if they really want to appeal to that kind of audience that doesn't fit me, then I'm just going to say bye. That's their decision. They can alienate any of the audience that they want to alienate, and they're alienating me because they're putting a TVMA on this, and they're going to put foul language and sex and gore and all that stuff. So they're alienating me and people like me, and they're not going to get another dime from me because of it. So with that, I say sayonara, Star Trek. I hope you like your new audience.
I enjoyed that. Thank you.
I'm all sweaty now, like, whew, that was a lot of work, but I'm really upset. I love Star Trek. I've watched everything that Star Trek that has come out, and this is the first thing I'm going to say, nope, I'm sorry, I'm not going to watch it. I can't stand behind it.
I agree. I agree with everything you said, Josh, and I'm disappointed. I'm probably not as much of a Star Trek fan as you are, so I wasn't even super excited about the series. I knew it was going to be on CBS All Access, and I wasn't super pumped. This didn't come as a huge surprise, because when I read the article when they announced Discovery, they said it was going to be an edgier version of Star Trek, a more adult version. So I was in the back of my mind thinking it was going to be a little bit rough. I expected to be maybe some language and some violence, but I will not watch the show. But if they keep making movies with Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto, I'll watch those. I enjoy those enough. But I have no interest or desire really to watch the television show if that's what it's going to be full of.
What about you, SuperFriendly? What do you think about all this? You don't care? Were you just watching it?
No, I got nothing to add.
Okay.
I mean, I was looking forward to watching it. That turned me off, but I wasn't. I didn't have a lot of outrage.
You didn't have a lot of outrage. No, I guess maybe out of the three of us, I'm probably the bigger Star Trek fan. And
yeah, probably.
Well, and that's something.
I know you, SuperFriendly. Your wife is a big Star Trek fan. I know her father and her mother-in-law, or her mother, your mother-in-law, are big Star Trek fans. So I just wonder, like, people like that, they used to watch it as families together. It was something they did, together. That this is not going to have that because of the direction they decided to go.
Yeah, but you know what? I am a big Star Trek fan, but for me, it's just this happens, and I just don't need to watch anymore. I'm not. It's not a huge blow because it's not the first time, won't be the last. So yeah, I agree with you, but
I was devastated when Marvel did that with the Netflix shows. So that was my first introduction to this, and they did it to my favorite character in all of Marvel, Iron Fist. Of course, it made it a little easier that it was so horribly received critically that it really didn't bother me as much because I didn't want to watch a horrendous adaptation of my beloved childhood character, but still.
I love Star Wars more than Star Trek. Star Wars has always been my first love, and I dread the day when Star Wars releases something that I have to take this stand on. I hope it never happens. I really do. Unfortunately, the way the world is today and the way the entertainment industry takes things, they always feel the need to push the envelope further and further. Even though I don't think it's needed, I think what's needed is good writing and people who can think outside the box, not just pushing junk on us, which is what they've come up with. The entertainment industry is too short-sighted to see the bigger picture. I just think eventually it's going to happen with Star Wars. Actually, it almost happened with the video game, right? A while back. 1313, I think it was called. It was released that was going to be their first Star Wars rated M video game. And again, I don't play rated M stuff either. I was like, man, that stinks. It's a video game I'm not going to play. But then when Disney bought them, they canned that.
They did.
And it doesn't seem to me like Disney is the type of company to go after that.
Disney allowed Marvel to do TVMA on Netflix. That's Disney.
You're right.
We'll see.
I
Hold out hope.
Happens. Yeah, I hope it never happens, but you know what? It's not surprising if it does happen because, like I said, that's just the way it is today. If this was, 20 years ago, that would never have happened. It would never even have been thought of to be happened because it would have been insane. It would have done a studio or show, but that's not the way it is today. People want that gore. They want that violence. They want that foul language, and they want lots of nudity. Mm-hmm. I guess we're in the minority with that. It's sad. I know it's sad for me. I won't be talking about it, that's for sure.
Anymore.
I might be talking about it, but just to hate on it, that's it. If it bombs, I might be slightly happy and mention it or something, If CBS has to close their doors or something, I might be a little happy about that. Although I do love some of the other CBS shows. Mm-hmm. But anyways, that's what's new with news and rumors that we have found for this week. But let's keep a rolling. But first, a word from our sponsors.
This segment is brought to you by Freihofer Septic Design, the name to know before you go. Call now. Dial 603-209-1221 to make your business our business.
Our next segment, Tractor Beam Trailers, where we talk about trailers that we saw that we're looking forward to seeing or playing. So for my movie this week, it was rated R, so I'm not going to talk about it.
That's fantastic. Oh my goodness. I'll go.
So, what do you have, SuperFriendly or DarkEagle?
So at the last minute, I threw this in here because I got some pressure by some unknown show host who shoved it. It is not. Anyway, I watched the trailer for Rememory. It's basically a movie that Google, I don't even know how they make money on this stuff, but Google Play had it for free on their platform. I think it came out maybe last week. It looked like a cool trailer. The basic premise is, I think there's a murder, and basically this guy comes up with a way to see people's memories. Like, it records everything you do. And that's kind of the basic premise. Sounded cool enough. It's got Peter Dinklage in the lead. It has the guy who passed away that was on Star Trek, Anton, whatever his name was, I can't remember now, who played... Chekhov, thank you. Mm-hmm. He was in it, and a few other people. It had Desmond from Lost. I was like, all right, it looks like it could be a good movie. Again, though, got horrible reviews. And I'll let everybody listening know, anybody who knows me knows this, if a movie gets bad reviews and none of my friends tell me it's great, I'm not wasting my life watching it. There's too many more important things to do in life than to watch a movie that looked good in the trailers, got horrible reviews, but I choose to watch it anyway and waste an hour and a half or 2 hours of my life. I'm just not going to do it.
And almost none of the things we talk about in this podcast are essential to life.
Well, I understand.
I don't know about that.
I mean, I get
Star Wars?
Star Wars is pretty great. But anyway, I'm going to completely pass on it now after having read the review. It did remind me, though, of an episode of Black Mirror, which I know is TVMA, but I actually just subscribe to VidAngel, and they clean up movies and TV shows. So I watched 2 episodes of it last night, and one of the episodes was about this concept. And I have to say that I think it was way better written than what Memory looks like, although it was horribly depressing and super sad, and I'm not going to watch any more Black Mirror because it was super depressing.
So do you like VidAngel?
So they've been back now for about 2 or 3 months.
What, they got shut down?
Yeah, they were shut down. So their site is not what it was. Yeah, they got sued
I didn't know
by
that.
Tarantino and Lucas, the big guys. They sued them, and
Lucas?
they had to shut down. Yeah, because they had Star Wars and stuff like that, PG-13. So they shut them down. But what they did is they came back and they have a very good game plan now. Basically, what it is you have to have Netflix, Amazon, or an HBO account. And if you have those accounts, they allow you to stream content from those sites and run it through their filters. Oh. And so any content on those sites... you
For
can
free?
use. No, it's a subscription now instead of based on a movie. So it's an additional subscription. It's $8 a month, which is a bit steep, in my opinion. It's a great concept. It seems to be going well. Netflix doesn't have a problem with it. Why would they? This VidAngel is driving business now to Netflix and Amazon. Anybody who wants to edit their movies, they're going to hook up Netflix or Amazon and use VidAngel. The problem is they're so far behind on content because Netflix has so much that they have a long ways to go before they have the amount of content they really need. What I do applaud them for is they have the most up-to-date and newest releases from Netflix. They had that movie, What Happened to Monday, that I wanted to see with whatever her name was there from the girl with the dragon tattoo. They have that on there.
Tuesday.
But some of their older stuff and some of the movies that have been on there for a while, they don't have up there yet.
I don't even know what Black Mirror is.
It's a modern-day Twilight Zone. It's very critically acclaimed. But it's a very dark version, a very, very dark version of The Twilight Zone.
Where's it originally released on?
Netflix. It's a Netflix original.
Oh, it's Netflix original? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But it's Britain. It's all British actors and stuff. That's all I had to say about any of that.
All right. So for me, I finally did watch the Wrinkle in Time teaser trailer. Luke had mentioned this, I think, in episode 1.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think so.
Now, I am hesitant after watching the trailer because of the casting. The supporting actors at least in this trailer, get top billing. So that's going to be Oprah Winfrey, Reese Witherspoon, Mindy Kaling, Zach Galifianakis, and Chris Pine, who are not bad actors, but they are not the main characters. And that's not good. The main characters are going to be Meg, Charles Wallace, and Calvin. Those characters, those actors, weren't even credited in the trailer.
That doesn't mean anything.
And then you watch the trailer, and it's mostly the big actors. I'm not a big fan of Mindy Kaling. I've only seen her in The Office, some commercials, and limited viewing of the Mindy Kaling show. Maybe just like a couple minutes. And she seems to play the same type of person, same type of character. They're all incredibly annoying. And if that's what she's bringing to this movie, then all her stuff better hit the cutting room floor, because I'm not going to want to watch a second of it. So those three, Mindy Kaling, Oprah Winfrey, and Reese Witherspoon, play Mrs. Who, Mrs. What's-It, and Mrs. Which. Oprah Winfrey's not bad. Reese isn't bad. I'm just saying they shouldn't be getting top billing. It's not about those characters, really. What I did like about the trailer was it included one of the most iconic scenes in the book, where our heroes, they show up in that cul-de-sac of that creepy community, and all the good little children, they're outside bouncing balls. I didn't see anything in that scene. It looked good. It didn't scream the same narrative heresy that I saw in the Ready Player One trailer, where I was like, this is going to be bad. So I am hesitant just because of the casting, but it does come out March 9th, 2018, and it is on my list of movies that I will see in the theater. I don't see a lot of movies in the theater, and if I do go see one in the theater, I expect it's going to be
You know that same month comes out Ready Player One.
Great. I'll watch them both.
You're going to see both. Woo!
Wow. Big month for Kyle.
If there's a good movie, I'll go see it. Last but not least, I watched the teaser trailer for Guardians Volume 2 that came out before the movie debuted, and it looks like it was supposed to be great. What happened?
Are you serious that you just watched it?
Well, I've seen it before, but it was on YouTube. I clicked on the trailer, and there was nothing that I saw that made me think the movie was going to be what I thought it ended up being. Well, I will say that I watched it again last night.
And you loved it.
No. But there were some more things that I have that I like. I really like the various use of imaginative weaponry.
Good point, yeah.
There were a lot of weapons that they used, and the way they used them, I was like, oh, that's really cool. Especially Rocket when he's on that planet. I also like the Ravager's funeral at the end. That was awesome. And I forgot that happened in there, and it was so cool. Other things I pulled away that I did not like.
Bring these up next episode, and we'll deal with them.
We're already way long on this episode, so we're moving on. We're not going to have a great debate tonight. So that's the end of our show for tonight, and we really hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Geek-Cetera. Join us next time for another thrilling adventure. But until then, invention, my dear friends, is 93% perspiration, 6% electricity, 4% evaporation, and 2% butterscotch ripple.
She's our friend, and she's crazy.
It's so fluffy.
For more from the geeks, please check out www.geek-cetera.com. Like our logo, we do too. Special thanks to Indy Riley for a stellar design. Find more from her at indyriley.myimportfolio.com. That's INDYREILLEY.myimportfolio.com. This podcast was brought to you by the Geek-Cetera team. Now this is podcasting.